Now, if you're one of the countless women across the country who reaches for a glass of wine in the evening without giving it a second thought, then you don't want to miss our next interview. Bear Crowley is a mother of 4 who's in recovery after admitting alcohol was causing problems in her life. We'll be speaking with her shortly, but first this report from midweek's Ciara Doherty. And thanks a million, Bear. Thanks, Roland.
Thank you.
Now, you're very welcome back. Well, just a few weeks ago, she was working on the tills in Tesco. Now she's a singing sensation on The X Factor with over 1 million hits on YouTube. Well, I'll be chatting with Mary Byrne from Ballyfermot in Dublin in just a few minutes. But first, let's take a look at this report from midweek's Michael Ryan. Exactly what it's like when alcohol becomes a problem, as she's in recovery herself. Ber, thanks very much for joining us. Ber, I'm going to take you back in your story. Can you remember the first time you took a drink?
The first time I took a drink was in my teens, and it seemed perfectly normal. You know, it was the drinking culture, I guess, and I went out and had crack and socialised, and wasn't a problem at that stage.
And can you remember the way it made you feel? Did you like the taste of it?
Like all my friends, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed socialising, and, you know, there was a nice feeling that went along with it. I suppose I felt more outgoing and, you know, the same as everybody else.
More at ease.
More at ease.
Yeah. As you got older and as you settled down then, what sort of pattern did the drinking take on?
Well, when I married then and I settled down and had, you know, we had a family.
This issue, but after the break, if you care about your looks, your health, your relationship, even your children, you need to stay tuned to hear the truth about what that one glass of wine could be doing to you. Now, you're welcome back. Well, we're joined now by Roland Anderson, an alcohol and addiction counsellor. Roland, you were listening to Bear's story, and I imagine a lot of our viewers tonight, they'll see a lot of familiarity in that. The wine culture, is that this term of functioning alcoholic, Bear? I mean, you were managed to hold down a job, you were in the house, so you were able to carry on your daily life for all intents and purposes while you were still drinking.
Yeah, I was going to work. And I was coming home in the evening, but it was the feelings of inadequacy that went along, and began to feel that I wasn't measuring up, and I was getting increasingly tired from the strain, really, of trying to control the amount that I was drinking at the time.
And when you say you weren't measuring up, I mean, I know it's the great difficulty for a lot of women, the work-life balance, trying to keep the show on the road, and the kids, and the relationship, and the husband, and the work. Was that all coming in on you?
It certainly was. You know, I feel that women really are, like we said in the video, that women are really the primary caretakers, and they're very much seen in that role. And I think women can be particularly hard on themselves and have huge expectations about that role. So for me, I suppose, you know, as my drinking progressed, I started to feel that I wasn't coping or functioning as well as I was in the past, and that was frightening. There's
still a stigma, isn't there, Ber, and a sort of a taboo about women and drinking as opposed to men and drinking, and you were saying it, and I think Ciara mentioned it in her VT about alcoholic, someone on the street, you know, down and out, and to think that maybe tonight there are many women across the country who might be even having a glass of wine.
I'd known exactly what was wrong.
When you went to get help, did they sit down and did they ask you a number of questions? Did they say, did you ever do anything you regret when you drank? Did you get emotional? Were you abusive? Were you aggressive? How do they know that there's a problem there?
I suppose really how the alcohol is impacting on your life, how it's affecting you, how it's affecting the people around you, how it's affecting your performance at work, how it may be affecting your physical health, so, and how it's affecting you personally, you know, inside. And I think for me, going for an assessment, I finally felt understood, and that people had the skill and the knowledge. That I trusted that they could deal with that, because that was what was communicated to me, and you know, I think the assessment was a turning point for me.
And Are they as blunt as that, Ber? Do they say you are an alcoholic, or do they say you have a problem with?
No, I mean, what was said was that I would certainly benefit from 28 days treatment, and you know, I agreed with that, you know, and it was time out really to have a look at what really was happening.
It's Tabor Lodge is where you work at the moment.
Tabor Lodge is where I work.
You're an addiction counsellor yourself now, Ber. Your message to people who think, I may have an issue here, or I may be living with someone. There's a lot of partners watching this programme tonight who think, I don't know how to say it, I don't know how to get around it. We might have a row. Society's acceptance, I know, and Irish people in general, we've got a big problem here. People will come into work and they'll say, can't remember last night, can't remember getting home, can't remember getting into the taxi, and we all sort of laugh and that's it.
I know. I mean, it's a real problem. I think the UK and Ireland have this particular culture that is really full of denial. I think, you know, society treats what's... I think what society does is that, you know, if something is abnormal, they treat it as normal if it's common. So in our culture, if I can get your head around that, in our culture, I think, you know, we have a lot of abnormal drinking, but it's treated as common, it's normalised. And I think that's a huge problem, particularly for young people growing up, because they drink up to what they think is the expected norm as well.
And because a lot of their peers are doing it. Would you have found that, Ber, if you were out socialising, that sure everyone would be having a lot of drink?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I certainly would have seen, you know, people drink the way I did, and it didn't seem to cause the same problems at times.
The notion of females and women and mothers and wives and daughters.
With Till at Tesco, or getting to live her dream for a bit longer.
Oh, Mary, that was fantastic. You've been living the rock and roll lifestyle ever since, and literally, as you said, stopping traffic. But, and our viewers don't know this, when you were watching that little piece that Michael did, you had your head in your hands.
I know.
Do you know that over 1 million hits on YouTube, and you can't bear hardly to watch it?
I know. It's just, it's kind of on, as I said on the thing, it's surreal to me. And, you know, when I'm not watching it, I can pretend it's somebody else that's happening to.
Yeah.
But when you see yourself on the telly, you go, oh, my God. Especially when you mouth the song, you know, ah, really.
But when you hear your voice, do you not go, God, that's coming out of me? I have a great voice.
Well, I do now. I never used to. But on that particular, watching back over that now, I realised, I don't know whether it was going on the X Factor that gave me the realisation of it, or just me age and realising that I do have a talent. And yeah, it's a good old voice, God bless her.
Yeah, I know Michael had a great time when he was walking around in Ballyfermot with you, and I know you've spoken about how much Ballyfermot means to you and why it's so special and why the people there are so brilliant. For our country cousins, Mary, why is Ballyfermot so important to you?
It's a good community. A lot of the older people in it are still around, and they have a great sense of community, and they're very loving people. And they come from, you know, the lowest. They've had hard times, and like everywhere in Ireland.
Yeah.
Every community has had it. But because I come from Ballyfermot, I know about Ballyfermot. And they're just so loving, and they're very supportive of me, of anybody that makes it. They just want to see people being happy and having success. Yeah. That's the type of people they are.
And you've been there all your life. You were born in Ballyfermot, weren't you?
I was born in 26 Kylemore Drive in the front bedroom.
In a house?
In a house.
And home births are all the rage now, of course.
This is it. Well, this is it. And then I was taken away straight away because my mother wasn't well. Yeah. But like I spent 3 years in England. We lived in Manchester. I don't remember. I was very young. And then we came back and we lived in Keogh Square. But back to Ballyfermot again as soon as we got a house from the corporation. So I've been there ever since about 4.
And were you reared with singing and music around you, or where did it all come?
Always music in the house. I used to have, my mother was a great singer. Yeah. My father was a great singer. All my brothers sing and my sister sings, but she's very shy now, I have to say. My daughter loves music and she gives a little note as well, but she wouldn't have the courage that I'm at to having.
This is your daughter Deborah?
My daughter Deborah, yeah.
She's what, 21
She's
now?
23.
23 years of age, okay.
She's my heart, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we sang every weekend. There was always a party. Pubs closed early then. I was as a little kid. I remember them all coming home. They'd have a few bottles of Guinness and a big sing-song in the house. Christmas was always great sing-songs. So I grew up, Jim Reeves, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Marty Robbins, all of them I grew up with.
And Shirley Bassey, obviously.
Shirley Bassey came in later with me.
Yeah.
And Tom Jones was my brother. He loves him, so I grew up with him. Shirley, I heard her, but as I kind of got older and was able to buy records, she stole my heart. Yeah. She stole my...
You sounded like a woman when you were singing that song.
You know, you can see the difference, and it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. I'm looking for the right words to use.
Yeah. But are you worried that they might try and put you in clothes or do something with your hair or do something with your... Yeah, and
they will put me in clothes.
That doesn't bother you? Do you welcome that?
No, it doesn't bother me. Maybe it'll give me a bit of fashion sense, because I really have no fashion sense. I really haven't, and I'm not afraid to say it. My daughter dresses me half the time, because I'd go in and I'd pick a pink and a blue and something else, you know, and she'd say, "Oh, for God's sake," you know. So no, I welcome them doing what they have to do, as long as they don't go too far.
They don't say, "No, we have to do Botox or anything crazy like that."
There's no Botox going in there.
No needles or anything like that.
Not until I feel I really want to do it, and I may never feel that.
Sure. So where are you then in terms of boot camp or advancing to the next stage? Because I know you're probably tied up with contracts and all the rest. So what can you tell us?
Well, I'm flying out next Monday to boot camp, so it should be shown the week after that week. Next not Monday. This Saturday, the following Saturday.
All right, okay.
So we're going out.
So how many people will be there for that bit?
I'm nearly sure there's 100 people have gone through to boot camp.
Okay, and then that'll be whittled down, obviously.
That's whittled down then. I don't know what way it's going to go at the moment. I know someone said it'll be whittled down to 32 people.
Right, okay. And then that's further whittled down then to the different judges' houses.
When you go to the judges' houses, then it'll be whittled down again to 12.
And then we're into the live shows.
And then it's the live shows.
Okay, well, fingers crossed we get to the live shows.
Please, God.
I really, really wanted to ask you to sing, but you're not allowed to sing. Isn't this part of it?
I'm not allowed to sing, unfortunately. I mean, I'd be no problem with me giving you a bar, but I just... You know, I asked and they said no, they don't advise it.
Because they kind of own your voice now or
they
something
do at
like
the moment,
that.
They own the voice. They can own me as long as they make me big and a big superstar, not this big now,
I have no doubt about it. Mary Byrne, I think we're going to see you go a long, long way.
I hope
and
so.
at the very least make it down to the live shows. And I know you're the type of person just talking to you, you're not going to forget about all those pals you had in Tesco and Ballyfermot.
Not at all.
Peggy and all the gang who were saying
they're all my mates,
they're all your pals, you go on holidays with them all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Gas crowd. I was laughing when she was saying that the floor was shaking when you were in Croke Park.
They told me that, and I tell you, it was just the sound system. It was fantastic.
The sound system, modesty all the way. Mary Byrne, thank you so much for coming in to talk to us in midweek. It was a real pleasure. Thanks a million.
Thank you very much. Tell Mark Cagney I was asking for him.
I will, of course. He'll be delighted. Now, if you'd like to get in touch with us on the show, or you have a story that you'd like to tell us, you can contact the TV3 website, or you can email midweek@tv3.ie. Now, stay tuned for the late news and Tonight with Vincent Brown. Good night. In a great place right now.
I am. I'm in a great place right now.
Yeah, in your head. Well, listen, we have to go to a break, Mary, but I want to get into a little bit about the show and boot camp and all that's going on, and we're all behind you. So we'll talk about a little bit about the show after the break. So stay with us. Mary's staying with us. You're very welcome back. Well, we're chatting with X Factor sensation Mary Byrne. Mary, I'm intrigued because you're such a real woman with real scars who's lived life. I suppose you might call yourself a survivor. Would you call yourself a survivor?
To a certain extent, yeah.
Well, you're on this show, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, seeing as I work on TV3.